What's going on, everybody? New location, but hey, we're still going over that data. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We're out here. We're actually in Arizona doing a little bit of travel, a little bit of golf, but still want to go over your numbers and your data that you are sending in. So excited to do that. And honestly, I've been out here practicing on my own game. I'm going to have some series showing you a little bit more of how I've been practicing and kind of getting things sharp. And I'll have that coming up on the channel, so make sure you click that subscribe button. And going over the data has actually helped me a lot with my game. So thank you, everybody, for sending in. If you would like to have your data sent in to be analyzed, I'm going to only take it via Instagram, Facebook. So I will link those down below. Here they are, the Real SHG or Scott Hogan Golf. That's where you can send that data. Just take a screenshot, hit 5 shots with a club, screenshot it, and then send that along, and that's what we'll take a look at. So, all right, so today we're actually taking a look at some interesting data. This is actually going to come from a Foresight. I believe this is a GC2 with HMT setup. So we're going to get ball data. We're also going to get a little bit of club head data as well. And so that's going to be really helpful. And I think this is really interesting data to look at because this is a common one that I see from people that, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on with everything and saying, all right, hey, we're feeling really good about stuff, but I just still am not getting, exactly what I want out of this. So let's take a look at this data. So this is a 9-iron from Tyler C. And let's start going through. And again, the first thing we're going to take a look at is that smash factor, just like before. Now with the Foresight units, you're looking actually at efficiency. Okay, that's what they call smash factor. So same thing, just your ratio between the ball speed and club speed. But for this 9-iron, you can see Tyler here has pretty good smash factor. You're going to see that smash factor be in the mid to low 1.2s, usually with a 9-iron. That's typically where I see it. That's what you're going to see as well when you're looking at tour data. The other thing, though, that we'll start looking at then is how is he doing on controlling the golf ball, right? We got to work through our system, start looking at things. Well, when I look at Tyler here, we can actually travel all the way down to the club head data. Now, this is going to look a little bit different from some of you radar users because they kind of break things out a little bit. And you're going to see a vertical path, horizontal path, face to pass, and then face to target. So face to target, you're typically, that's going to be where's that club face angle relative to straight ahead. You're going to see your face to path. Where is that club face relative to being to the club path? Now, horizontal path, that is something you're going to be seeing, and I'm excited to share that and talk about that with the new upgrades that Mevo Plus are going to be getting. But what you're looking at is, we call it horizontal swing plane in Flight Scope, but what you're looking at is just where is that club swinging relative to the ground. So here's something interesting that's going on with Tyler's shots. And it's not a bad thing, okay? It's, when we look at it, look at his horizontal path, okay? Look at his face to path. He is actually getting that face to path to be a little bit open, but look at his side spins, okay? If we go over to his side spin, he is typically getting a left spinning shot. Now, when we look at that data, though, the one thing that we have to bring in is when we're looking at how is club path getting determined, in the traditional sense of everything we're looking at, club path is a 3D number. So if we look at his vertical path, okay, looking at his vertical path, he's hitting downward on those irons, which is a good thing, obviously. You're supposed to hit down at that golf ball and attack downward. Now, that's something that we have to take into account because that has influence on how those shots are going. And so for Tyler here, as we're looking at these shots and we're saying, all right, hey, you are hitting them and you're traveling this direction, but everything else is saying, hey, the face and everything is to the right. Why isn't the ball traveling right? Well, that comes from that downward angle. That actually has influence on the path, not just from a two-dimensional world, but it's something that we need to look at from a 3D world, right? So one of the solutions a lot of times for people that slice it, especially with irons, is we look at trying to get a little bit more downward with that angle of attack. trying to attack down and get that path moving out, again, in the 3D world. Now, that's also something I would not look at because Tyler's shots finish very, very close to the target. The one thing that I look at, though, is I look at his speed, right? His ball speed, and I look at the spin rate that he's generating. Now, I know a 9-iron, it's going to spin upwards into the upper 7s and 8s a lot of times, but that does depend on the ball you're using. I also just notice when he's hitting, I'm looking at his launch angle and the loft of the club at impact. And what happens is when we see a lot of players, is good players will de-loft that club. And on average, they typically de-loft it, anywhere from 7 to 10 to 12 degrees from where they started at address. So they're de-lofting that club from that kind of manufacturer loft, which we would call static loft, that static loft of the club, and to what we would call dynamic loft. So if I'm Tyler here, the thing I just noticed is it looks like that ball is floating a little bit on him, and based on the speeds he's kind of swinging and hitting it, I would work on trying to launch that ball a little bit lower. And so the way I would do that is by just working on the way I imagine the swing looking without it looking at it and seeing it in person is somebody that is kind of casting it a little bit at the bottom. I would be working on trying to sync up how I'm releasing the club head with how my body is pivoting through the shot and see if I can bring that loft down. So I'd be hitting a lot of punch shots, a lot of hold off finishes, kind of think Colin Morikawa, and seeing if we can bring that flight down and make that ball, maybe just get a little bit more distance out of it. But the other thing that happens when you start bringing the ball down is you're going to get affected a little bit less by all the conditions. And you know what, when we're really trying to dial it in and, try to maybe bounce the ball back to a back flag or, try to keep it under trees, you obviously have the ability to hit the ball high. Now let's see if we can get that ball to go low. And that's what I see when I'm looking at these numbers. So I would be working on punch shots, trying to keep that flight down, and then trying to take that feel into more full swings of trying to punch that ball a little bit more. So you are delivering with a little bit less loft and getting that flight down a little bit more, just a little bit more controllable, I think, for majority of conditions that we're going to play in. So that's what I look at when I see these numbers. That's something we would be looking at. It's a very nice set of numbers, though, so not a whole lot to be looking at there. Great work, Tyler. And again, let me know if you have any questions about it. Comment down below. And if you want to have your numbers looked at, make sure you send those over to Scott Hogan Golf at Facebook, The Real SHG on Instagram. I would love to take a look at them and help everybody else learn from them as well. That's why we like doing this, okay? So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be the last one before the holidays, Christmas, so Merry Christmas, everybody. And we will see you before the New Year, but if you missed those videos, Happy New Year as well. And we'll be back in the tundra in the studio here shortly. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.